Imagine this. You send a long message to someone who hurt you, hoping they'll finally understand. You wait for the reply, but it never comes. You check your phone again and again, only to be left with silence. Here's the truth. That silence isn't weakness. It isn't rejection. If you embrace it, silence becomes the greatest weapon of self-control you'll ever hold. The Stoics Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca knew this long before our modern world of texting, ghosting, and endless explanations. They understood that chasing, begging, and over-explaining drains your energy and hands your power to someone else. Today, I want to show you why silence is not emptiness, it's mastery. We're going to explore 6 deep truths about why silence is the ultimate Stoic superpower, and how practicing it will transform the way you handle rejection, misunderstanding, and disrespect. Before we begin, pause and reflect. Have you ever lost yourself trying to be understood by someone who never cared to listen? If yes, this video is your wake-up call. And if you're ready, type this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my power. 1. Silence makes people feel your absence more than your words. Words can be ignored. Explanations can be twisted, but silence, it lingers. When someone expects you to argue, defend, or plead, and you instead choose silence, you disrupt their script. Suddenly, they can't predict your next move. Your absence echoes louder than any speech. Think about this. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop justifying, people are forced to sit with their own actions. They replay what they said. They wonder if they crossed the line. They question why you didn't respond. Albert Hubbard once said, "He who does not understand your silence will probably not understand your words." Silence isn't about punishing someone. It's about protecting your dignity. It says, "If you valued me, you wouldn't need an essay to see my worth. If you respected me, you wouldn't need me to beg for it." In that silence, you reclaim your energy. You stop bleeding words into ears that never listened. You stop handing away power disguised as explanation. And slowly, you'll realize the people who truly care will notice your quiet absence. The ones who never cared will simply drift away. Both outcomes are clarity. 2. Silence helps you hear the truth within yourself. We live in a noisy world. Notifications, arguments, opinions, everyone shouting, no one listening. When you choose silence, you're not running away, you're running inward. The Stoics practiced stillness because they understood that real clarity comes not from reaction, but from reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Silence gives you the space to revoke those false estimates. It allows you to separate raw emotion from timeless truth. Instead of rushing to demand answers, you begin to see the real lesson. I'm not angry they left. I'm angry I stayed too long. I don't need their closure. I need my own peace. Their actions already gave me the clarity. Their words never could. The world says, "Speak your truth loudly." The Stoic says, "Sit in silence until the truth speaks to you." And in those quiet hours, you'll realize you never needed their explanation. You only needed your own courage to let go. 3. Begging for closure is self-betrayal. How many times have you caught yourself saying, "If I could just talk to them one last time, maybe they'd understand"? That temptation feels so human, but it's a trap. Because closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you give yourself. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Chasing closure is explaining. Walking away in silence is embodying. Here's the cycle. They hurt you, you beg for answers. They avoid you or give half-truths. You feel emptier than before. And so the cycle repeats until you stop. Real closure isn't a neatly tied conversation. It's the decision to stop chasing explanations from someone who already showed you who they are. When you stop begging for closure, you stop betraying yourself. You stop outsourcing your healing. You stop depending on their words to validate your pain. Your silence becomes the final chapter, not because they wrote it, but because you closed the book. 4. Silence exposes what words try to hide. Words are slippery. People use them to charm, manipulate, or delay accountability, but silence doesn't lie. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it best, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." When you stop explaining, when you withdraw your words, you leave people with nothing but their actions to stand on, and actions never lie. The one who truly cares will show up. The one who only used you will vanish. The manipulator will grow angry because they've lost control. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to test them. Just go silent, observe, and watch as masks fall away. Yes, it may hurt. Because silence reveals truth, and truth isn't always pretty. But would you rather live with beautiful lies or uncomfortable clarity? Remember, silence strips away illusion, words disguise, actions expose. 5. Not explaining yourself is the highest form of confidence. One of the hardest human urges is the need to be understood. To defend yourself against misjudgment, to say, "That's not who I am." But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Strength comes from not needing external validation. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Don't waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors unless with a view to some mutual benefit." Every time you chase someone's understanding, you waste your life explaining yourself to those who never cared to know you in the first place. The man or woman who doesn't explain isn't arrogant, they're free. Free from the burden of controlling someone else's perception. Yes, people will label you cold or selfish, but here's the paradox. Those who deserve your presence won't need an explanation. They'll see your values in your actions, the rest. They'll call you names as they fade away. And in that loss, you gain something greater: self-respect that cannot be negotiated. Detachment in silence teaches the only lesson that matters. Here's the raw truth. People don't learn from being told. They learn from what they lose. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When you stop reacting, stop begging, stop chasing, you leave them alone with their imagination. They start to replay the silence. They begin to feel the weight of your absence. That absence teaches more than any lecture could, not because you wanted to hurt them, but because you finally chose to stop hurting yourself. And whether they learn the lesson or not doesn't matter. The true lesson was always for you. You learned peace matters more than chaos. You learned you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You learned silence is not emptiness, it's the highest form of dignity. So, the next time you're tempted to chase, beg, or over-explain, pause. Remember the Stoic path. Remember that your silence is not weakness, it is self-mastery. Silence is not about ego. It's about clarity, not about rejecting love, but rejecting disrespect. Not about pride, but about peace. And if there's one takeaway, it's this: let your silence be your last word. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of deep, unshakable self-respect. If this resonated with you, drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my superpower. Like this video if it spoke to you. Share it with someone who needs this reminder. And subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week.